Do you want to live an easy life? Well, you can't. Because everyone's journey is difficult, especially when it comes to life on Earth under all of these circumstances we're operating under. It's not easy for everyone, and everyone has some sort of struggle and multiple struggles to deal with. It's just people have challenges in different forms, and these challenges manifest in different ways and to different degrees in those different ways as well. So it's all different. No one here has an easy life, and everyone has difficulties. This journey is difficult for everyone, just in a completely unique way for each person. Like, think about, even if you do live an easy life, quote unquote, problems arise in other places. So easy, I'm talking in terms of like money and physical needs. So let's take like, this is such a funny example, like Paris Hilton or something like that. Someone that just inherits tons of money and doesn't really have to do anything, doesn't have to acquire any skills or things like that. If you have an easy life in those terms, problems come up in different ways. So you're going to be incompetent emotionally. You're going to not have skills. You're going to be naive. And so problems are going to arise in those areas of life because you're not going to know how to handle yourself in multiple situations, and you're not going to have strength to persevere through things that come up in life, and even persevere through just emotions that come with being human. So there is no easy life. It doesn't exist. It's just life is challenging for everyone in different ways and to different degrees in those different ways as well. So if you take like a traditional hard life, like say a kid that grows up in the inner city, what we would consider a hard life, that's a hard life, especially in terms of physical needs and emotional states, because a lot of physical needs aren't met. You know, you're going to be living in the projects. It's going to be a rough life. Your needs might not be met. Who knows if you're going to have food on the table next meal? And then you're surrounded by violence and people not acting in your best interest. So that's kind of what epitomizes like a hard life, what you would think of as a hard life. There's a lot of physical trauma. But also, a hard life could also be the kid who lives in the suburbs whose parents put immense pressure on them to be a doctor, for example. So that child grows up, their physical needs are met, and they're not really abused in some ways, but they're not really in environments where people are out to hurt them or harm them. But they're under this intense pressure to conform to a certain model. And this can be, it doesn't seem like it's that bad, but it's a traumatic experience long term. So that's a struggle in a different form, if you get what I'm saying. It's in different degrees and different forms. It's a hard life in a completely different way. It's not better or worse than another hard life, but it's just different. Okay? And talking about this reminds me of the Bruce Lee quote. It's do not pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a hard life. And that's the mind state we should all have, because life is never going to be easy. We're never going to get to the point where it's like, yep, I made it, I'm just going to coast through the rest of this. There's always going to be struggles. There's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be challenges. They're just going to come in different forms as you progress through life. Like, I'm getting a lot of challenges and obstacles on my spiritual path right now. I'm really diving deep, and there's a lot coming up. A lot of limiting beliefs are coming up. A lot of delusions or ideas about myself that I was clinging on to that I have to let go of in order to progress. And it could be really difficult. It's like metaphysical growing pains. It's a weird feeling. It's hard to describe physically, but like your shell has to be cracked in order for you to grow out of it. So, yeah, when you do deep spiritual work and you're shedding layers of yourself and you're shedding delusions, it's challenging, and it can be it could be scary too, because it's like reality gets yanked out from underneath you essentially. And I actually had an experience like that yesterday where it felt very ungrounding and like reality got yanked underneath me. But yeah, I'm coming to think that it was more like bursting out of a shell of an old self that I've evolved from. So there's challenges. Like just because you're on the spiritual path doesn't mean you're going to be happy and positive constantly. Like it's tough. It's a struggle. It's like any other journey. You're going to encounter obstacles. You're going to encounter forces that are counter to what you're doing, and you have to overcome them. We're here on this planet to learn contrast, because I believe that our essential state is basically pure love, that oneness, that pure love, that bliss. But you don't know what that is until you experience the opposite. So this world is based in contrast. It's duality. You have dark, light, good, evil. We experience this contrast in order to gain perspective on the true essence of things. Like, how are you going to know joy if you don't experience pain? And that's why this world is based upon contrast. So you can't forsake the contrast. You can't ignore that, and you can't avoid it. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows here. we learn happiness by learning about sadness. So it's that contrast experience. And every journey, no matter what path you're on, it comes with struggle. Like even if you go the traditional route of a suburban kid, let's say, who just goes through high school, goes to college, gets a good corporate job, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of struggles that come from that. There's the struggle of conformity. There's that thing weighing on your mind that you feel like a drone in a machine, that monotonous lifestyle. So even though, yeah, you might get the house with the picket fence and all that stuff that looks good in the outside world, but on the inside, a lot of those people are facing tons of struggles and inner demons and things like that, because that's a part of that lifestyle. So, and if you choose another lifestyle, there's going to be challenges with that. If you want to be an entrepreneur, there's a lot of challenges that come with that, along with a lot of rewards. It's the contrast life, baby. You got to embrace both sides of it, and yeah, that's why I'm more focused on big picture positivity right now. It's not positivity in terms of denying the bad, but embracing it, knowing that it all rolls up to unconditional love in the end, because that's our essence. So embrace that contrast, embrace your struggle, because we're all struggling. Do nice to other people, because everyone is facing challenges and obstacles. Everyone could use a hug or a smile or a kind word. So be nice to other people. We're all facing struggles. All right? I hope you have a great weekend and all that. Peace, peace, much love, and one love, baby.